2026 Subaru Crosstrek Hybrid First Drive Review. Efficient, sporty, and adventure-ready. Is the 2026 Subaru Crosstrek Hybrid worth it? My first drive in Oregon reveals its performance, fuel economy, and adventure-ready features. A revised attempt at a potentially hot commodity. For its 2026 model year, the popular Subaru Crosstrek gains an all-new hybrid variant. Equipped with the latest Toyota-sourced hybrid battery technology. However, this isn't the first time Subaru has attempted to electrify its most compact crossover. In 2014, Subaru introduced a hybridized version of the first-generation 15 Crosstrek, only to be met with incredibly slow sales. Primarily attributed to its high cost and relatively limited fuel savings compared to the standard model. For its 2019 model year, Subaru attempted a plug-in hybrid version of the Crosstrek. But its existence was essentially for compliance purposes, and it was only sold in states that followed California's emissions standards. Now, however, Subaru has decided to give a hybrid Crosstrek another go, and from what I've gathered based on my first impressions, this one's a massive improvement. First impressions. On paper, the 2026 Subaru Crosstrek Hybrid appears to be an odd contender in its increasingly competitive segment, with its only direct rival being the Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid. Subaru insists it'll also compete with larger rivals, such as the Honda CR-V Hybrid and the Hyundai Tucson Hybrid, which both command price tags similar to those of the two available Crosstrek hybrid trims. For reference, the 2026 Subaru Crosstrek Sport Hybrid starts at $33,995, while the more spacious Hyundai Tucson Hybrid Blue begins at $33,465, more than $500 less than the Subaru, and the Honda CR-V Sport Hybrid starts at $35,630. The Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid S's $28,995 MSRP makes it $5,000 less expensive than the Crosstrek Hybrid. Despite still coming standard with all-wheel drive and boasting superior fuel economy, the Crosstrek Hybrid achieves up to 36 combined miles per gallon, whereas the Corolla Hybrid achieves up to 42 combined mpg. So, then, I had to ask myself, why would anyone choose the Crosstrek Hybrid? Subaru claims that nearly a quarter of all Crosstrek owners use their vehicles off-road, a massive difference from the 6.3% of Corolla Cross Hybrid owners. The 4.4% of Hyundai Tucson Hybrid owners, and the 3.8% of Honda CR-V Hybrid owners. This is attributed mainly to the Crosstrek's mechanical all-wheel drive system, which, when compared to the Corolla Cross Hybrid's system, essentially uses its combustion engine to power the front wheels and its electric motor to power the rear wheels, offering far superior traction when needed most. The Crosstrek Hybrid also benefits from improved ground clearance compared to its rivals, another essential element for off-road use. Of course, its mechanical all-wheel drive system does come at the cost of fuel efficiency, and the hybrid Crosstrek sacrifices 17% in combined fuel economy compared to the Corolla Cross Hybrid for the sake of its improved all-wheel drive capability. The upshot, however, is that the Crosstrek Hybrid boasts a single-tank driving range of up to 597 miles, significantly more than any of its three aforementioned rivals. There's no denying that Subaru is asking buyers to pay a hefty premium for its advanced capabilities compared to its Toyota rival, or to give up a substantial quantity of interior spaciousness compared to its Honda and Hyundai rivals. All in the name of improved off-road capability that only around a quarter of its owners will ever really use, according to its own data. Regardless, my experience behind the wheel had me thinking that Subaru might still have a valid case on its hands after all. Driving impressions. Even if you're considering a Crosstrek Hybrid and don't plan on ever taking it off-road, take note of the fact that its mechanical symmetrical all-wheel drive system pays dividends both in the backcountry and on freshly paved surfaces. The Crosstrek Hybrid's cornering is capable of serious engagement, and it's actually possible to have fun behind the wheel on a meandering stretch of twisty turns, something that, at least from my own experience, cannot be said of the Corolla Cross Hybrid. There is considerable body roll under cornering, as one might expect from what is essentially a hatchback on stilts. But once mastered, it can be surprisingly communicative. Call me crazy, if you will, for drawing comparisons between a Crosstrek Hybrid and a Mazda MX-5. Still, anyone who has spent time behind the wheel of an Indy-era Miata understands how talkative body roll can be when tuned properly. And its feedback is constructive for gauging momentum shifts from side to side. The Subaru Crosstrek Hybrid's body roll acts similarly, and if you listen to its faint whispers, it's easy to anticipate how it will react to corners before turning into them. It adds a surprisingly thrilling element to the act of driving the Crosstrek Hybrid spiritedly, thanks to its 2-motor series parallel hybrid powertrain, which pairs a 2.5-liter Atkinson cycle boxer engine with a 0.6 kWh lithium-ion battery. The Crosstrek Hybrid sees a 14-horsepower improvement over its non-hybrid variants, for a total combined figure of 194 horsepower. Although it's certainly not a massive power increase, and it doesn't make much of a difference in the higher end of its RPM range. The Crosstrek Hybrid's instant torque response makes accelerating far smoother than in the standard Crosstrek. It affords it just enough pep to make the act of engaging wide-open throttle a worthwhile endeavor. Overall, the 2026 Subaru Crosstrek Hybrid felt far sportier behind the wheel than I had expected. And perhaps far sportier than anyone would expect a vehicle of its segment to be. So, then, not only is the Subaru Crosstrek Hybrid the adventurer's choice compared to its main rivals, but perhaps it should be the driving enthusiast's go-to as well. The interior experience. Inside its cabin, the Subaru Crosstrek Hybrid brandishes another potent weapon to help it take on its tough competition, genuine charm and character. Gone is the sea of black plastics, black upholstery, and black buttons, and instead, the 2026 Crosstrek Hybrid's interior is filled with eye-catching patterns, contrasting hues, and an aesthetically appealing digital game.